We're putting people's lives as the top priority. Those were the immediate, urgent words from Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi on Tuesday, July 28, 2026, just moments after a violent tremor hit the southern island of Kyushu. Right after a major disaster, things get chaotic, rumors fly, and figuring out what's actually real is just incredibly tough. And well, that's exactly why we're doing this explainer today.
Welcome. Today we're going to cut right through all that noise. I want to give you a really calm, structured, and entirely fact-based breakdown of the July 2026 Kyushu earthquake. We'll be relying purely on verified data and visual evidence to understand exactly what happened, how bad the damage really is, and honestly, the broader geological picture of why this area is always on such high alert.
So here's how we're breaking it all down today. First, the Kyushu earthquake explained. Second, immediate damage and response. Third, verifying the visual evidence. And fourth, Japan's seismic reality.
Okay, let's jump right into part 1, the Kyushu earthquake explained.
The exact geography here is absolutely crucial. At about 4:27 p.m. local time on a Tuesday afternoon, the Earth ruptured. The epicenter was located roughly 12 miles south of Kumamoto City, which is right in central Kyushu. And look, this isn't some remote, empty area. Kumamoto City is home to around 700,000 people. So striking right in the middle of the afternoon rush, that timing and location instantly turned this into a massive, high-stakes emergency.
Now, when the quake first hit, the numbers we were seeing were pretty alarming. The Japan Meteorological Agency initially clocked it as a preliminary 7.1 magnitude. But as more seismic data rolled in globally, the US Geological Survey actually revised that number down to a 6.8. I want to pause here for a second because this is super important. A revision like this, it's not a mistake. It's just a rigorous scientific process doing its job. By sticking to that finalized 6.8 figure, we're making sure we don't overstate things while staying completely scientifically accurate.
But you're probably wondering, if it got revised down to a 6.8, why did the shaking feel so incredibly violent? Well, the answer lies in the depth of the quake. It was just 10 kilometers, or just over 6 miles deep. It was incredibly shallow. Because all that energy was released so close to the surface, the shaking on the ground reached level 7 on Japan's Shindo intensity scale. And just to put that into perspective, that is literally the highest possible level of shaking on their entire scale.
Moving right along to part 2, immediate damage and response. In those crucial first few hours, the multi-layered response was just immediate. The government instantly spun up a task force. Their protocol for this is incredibly well-drilled, as you might expect. They got right to work assessing the transport network, identifying any structural hazards, and verifying the safety of the island's most sensitive infrastructure.
And speaking of that infrastructure, the reality on the ground was pretty stark. The Shinkansen bullet trains completely suspended for safety checks. Aso Kumamoto Airport closed its runway with no immediate timeline for reopening. But the third major update was the one everyone was waiting for with bated breath. Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority swiftly confirmed that 3 nearby nuclear power plants were completely safe, no abnormalities at all. In a post-Fukushima Japan, getting that confirmation fast is absolutely vital for keeping the public calm.
There was, however, another immediate terror: the threat of a tsunami. Literally minutes after the shaking stopped, a tsunami advisory was issued for the coastal areas of the Ariake and Yatsushiro seas, warning of waves up to 1 meter. That's about 3 feet. PM Takaichi immediately jumped on social media, warning residents to stay far away from the coast. Luckily, and this is a huge relief because the earthquake was inland, no significant tsunami ever materialized. The advisory was officially lifted within 2 hours.
All right, let's get into part 3, verifying the visual evidence.
Now that the immediate tsunami threat had passed, everyone's attention turned to the physical damage. But before we dive into that, we really need to talk about the digital aftermath. If you've been scrolling through social media today looking for updates, you absolutely need to hear this. Please verify the dates on the images you're seeing. Right now, there's a huge spread of generic Japan earthquake stock photos floating around. Even worse, people are sharing actual photos of the devastation from the 2016 Kumamoto earthquake and falsely claiming they're from today's event in 2026. This kind of misinformation completely distorts the reality of the crisis and hampers factual reporting. So remember, do not share images without a verified source and date.
So let's look at what is actually verified.
Take the confirmed aerial images from Reuters showing the Aeon Mall in Kashima town. You can clearly see the severe catastrophic structural failure of the building's facade and roof following this 2026 tremor. It's a really stark visual anchor for the true scale of the localized destruction. On top of that, verified reports confirmed that a chimney collapsed at the Nippon Paper Industries plant in Yatsushiro. Initially, that actually trapped 11 workers, and rescue operations are actively ongoing right now. This is the real, verified, factual reality of the damage.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 4, Japan's seismic reality.
To really grasp why this keeps happening, and why Japan's emergency response is so incredibly dialed in, we have to zoom out for a second. Japan is one of the most seismically active nations on the entire planet because it sits squarely on the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's this massive, horseshoe-shaped geological danger zone where multiple tectonic plates are constantly grinding against each other. Because of this perilous geography, Japan experiences literally hundreds of earthquakes every single year. Most of them are minor, sure, but this constant tectonic friction, that is the engine behind the devastating quake we saw today.
And this geological reality has left a deep historical shadow over the country. Back in 2011, the magnitude 9.0 Tohoku earthquake and the resulting tsunami claimed roughly 18,500 lives and triggered a massive nuclear disaster. Then in 2016, this exact same Kumamoto region was rocked by a deadly quake, and now the 2026 Kyushu earthquake. The tragic memory of 2011 in particular shapes the nation's hypervigilant psychology to this day. It's exactly why they treat every single tsunami advisory and every nuclear safety check with uncompromising seriousness. They know the stakes all too well.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the major question that's currently keeping seismologists awake at night. As aftershocks continue to rattle Kyushu over the coming weeks, scientists are urgently studying the data and asking, is this localized earthquake connected to the Nankai Trough? Now, the Nankai Trough is a massive offshore fault line associated with historically catastrophic megaquakes. Did this 6.8 magnitude event relieve pressure, or is it a precursor to something much larger along that trough? That is the million-dollar scientific question right now. We'll be watching the data very closely. Thanks for joining me today to get the structured, verified facts. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and as always, verify your sources.